I have a confession. So, when I was in grade 6, my brother, who is a year older, was in middle school, which is grade 7. And he was put into a special ed class. And he was telling me about how awesome it is. Like, you could do whatever you want. He had a girlfriend who was in the same special ed as him. And, for someone in special ed, she was decently attractive. And my brother just made it seem so awesome and so cool. Well, my confession is I voluntarily entered special ed, and I was only in special ed for a year, and it sucked ass. So I'm autistic. I think everyone knows this. I'm autistic, but like the type of people that were in this special ed class were like severely autistic. Like there was a guy who was like so obsessed with PS2s, like you'd think he'd fuck one of them. There was this girl who thought that Jeff the Killer was her boyfriend, and this and that. And I was in the same class as my brother, and it seemed so awesome, right? Well, it wasn't. I'd never been more bored in school ever. All I did in that special ed class was like, yeah, they didn't really make you do any work, or like every once in a while they'll have some sort of lecture about some sort of life skill or something like that. But basically, all I did was play Mario Kart 7 on my 3DS every single day, and I also would play. I would emulate like N64 games, SNES games, all that shit on the school computers. I would also play Roblox. And that sounds awesome, right? Like you just get to play video games in school, right? Isn't that awesome? Well, every day started to blend in together. Like I just didn't even want to go to school. I still went to school anyways, but I would just like play a Roblox game and just drive. Don't do anything, just drive for like hours straight. And dude, I got so bored out of my mind. Let me give you some backstory. So I think since like grade 6 or so, I started misbehaving. Like I had some sort of rebellious phase. Like I ran out of class. This and that. I ran out of class a lot. I didn't really get into fights. I think I got into fights in like, I don't know, grade 4 or some shit. Grade 5, I don't know. But I would just misbehave. Like I would my main thing was running out of class. And in grade 6, not like my only friend, but my best friend moved away. And I remember, like, the last time I ever saw him, like, when I went to get picked up by my mom, I just cried in the car. For the entirety of grade 7, dude, I was so lonely. I've never been more lonely. All I had was my brother, who's an asshole. And there was this one guy in the special ed class. I don't even know why he's in it. I guess he's just autistic or something. He was very chill. Like, he was one of my only friends. Like, I remember talking to him about the Switch 1 reveal, because that was in 2016. That was like October 2016. I was just starting out grade 7. I needed support, and I don't think special ed was like, helped with that. It kind of just made like my days like mindless, like mind numbing, and just lame as fuck. So I got out of the special ed. So for grade 8, I did not go to that special ed room ever again. And how it works is like it's a public school. It was a middle school too, and there's like a special ed room, and that's where all the special ed kids go. But I decided I wanted to make a change, and I didn't go back to special ed in grade 8. However, I did have an educational assistant, and I think that was beneficial, because I'll admit I'm not very smart when it comes to, schoolwork or anything like that. Anything the teacher tells me, like anything they teach, just goes through my head. And even if I try to study, I just can't memorize it. I was never really good with my grades. So I feel like at that specific time, I really did need an educational assistant. But one time, at the very beginning of grade 8, I was in French class, and I was getting frustrated with my schoolwork. And like I generally did not know any of it because I completely missed last year's French, and I got frustrated. So I walked out of the room. The teacher was like, "Hey," and I screamed, "Fuck off!" And dude, that's one of the most embarrassing things I've done in public, I'd say. I didn't even get in trouble or anything like that, but after that, I knew I needed to change. And just like that, I stopped with that behavior. I stopped, running out of class. I stopped, swearing at teachers. And I started to take school more seriously again. And then I finally made friends. Finally. After like a whole year with like barely any friends, like no close friends, I finally made friends again. And, they're not autistic like me. Anyways, I needed that educational assistant because what she would do is take the smartest kid in the classroom's homework before they hand it in and let me just copy it. And yeah, I don't think that they're allowed to do that because she got fired for it. But like, I felt like I needed the support more so than like the low IQ girls that were just taking advantage of that. Like they could do the work, but they're just too lazy. But like I generally couldn't do the work because I missed an entire year of school, basically, by being in special ed. My school years from kindergarten to grade 5 were all pretty normal, but then it was grade 6 to grade 7 that just absolutely fucking sucked for me. And, I was misbehaving and this like that. But I finally felt like I was in reality again in grade 8 after I decided to change. And after I made friends again for like the first time in years, because I only had like one best friend that I would talk to every single day, like during lunch, and we'd hang out every day, during lunch. And by changing, I was able to be in my first ever friend group because you in elementary school it's just me one-on-one with friends or whatever. Like we didn't like hang out in a group. But this was my first friend group ever, and I felt like, that sort of taught me how to socialize better. One of the friends in that friend group I would consider a lifelong friend. I'd say they're my best friend even to this day, like one of my best friends. And I was lucky to finally be accepted after I decided to change. Because if you met me from grade 6 to grade 7, you'd be like, okay, that guy's severely autistic. But it was all just a phase. I grew out of it. It was like a rebellious phase. Like it was supposed to be like a fuck you to my mom or to the teachers or stuff like that. And it was some sort of like thing I picked up from hanging out with this other friend, and it really negatively affected me for 2 years. The one good thing about special ed was that they often made cookies. Like the kids would make cookies, and the cookies were pretty good, I won't lie. And like there was like an oven in the sped room. Like I'd say cooking is a pretty good skill to have. I was also able to work in the cafeteria a little bit when I was in special ed. I would like make sandwiches or stuff like that. I don't think I actually cooked, but I would make wraps, sandwiches. Like there's some benefits to special ed, and I feel like, there's people who generally need special ed, right? They would benefit from it. But like for me, it just sucked. I did not really benefit from it at all. It only just made me lonely and bored out of my mind. Like I felt like an outcast those 2 years, grade 6 and 7. By the time I was in high school, I was still autistic, of course, but I had friends, And I'd say by the end of high school, I was a completely different person than who I was during those 2 specific years. I feel like those 2 years were a pretty dark period in my life. It was probably the first dark period in my life. I had anger issues, depression, stuff like that. And did I mention I was very, very lonely? However, it was just a phase. Maybe, going to special ed was a good time to reflect on my behavior and how seriously I would take school. In the end, I learned to behave better and attend all my classes, but just go with the flow, That's kind of just what I do. I go with the flow. I don't actually try or do anything really substantial. I just go with the flow. Okay, I'll do my homework. but it's not gonna be anything like, it's not gonna be a masterpiece. Like this paragraph is not gonna be the best thing you've ever written. I'm not trying my best. I'm just attending class. I'm just being me. I'm not even trying. Okay, I think that kind of goes to like other aspects of my life, but I just sort of just go with the flow, man. In another life, I would have taken school more seriously, but I'm not gonna dwell on it. Anyways, that's it for the video, guys. I was just thinking about this today, and I talked about it with my friend, and they said it'd be a good Big Soprano video, so yeah, I thought I'd make this a video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a Big Soprano day.